Thanks. I heard some Pikas. I was really excited there for a
Yes,
second.
the Pika song did start, and we are back into the draft. So I'm going to take us right into it. It happened so fast. It was like, pew!
If you have the draft link, I would love to get into it as
I
well.
do. Let me get that to you as fast as I possibly can. See, they whisper it to me, and then I'm like, whoa.
Those nerds.
There
don't
you
they
go.
find
I
it
sent it in the
too?
Skypes, and while you are getting that, all right. So we have Dark Arts versus Complexity. We already have the first bans out. Complexity banning out Abathur, strangely enough, and Dark Arts are going to be banning out Azertul.
Complexity must know that Dark Arts has a great Abathur player. Otherwise, I don't think we would see them ban Abathur right out of the gate most often.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Zeratul a little more commonly seen as that first ban. Jaina, the first pick, it's like the same story we've heard a million times over. And Kael'thas to match her, we have the Fire and Ice Wizard battle already in the making. Johanna, second pick for Dark Arts. She's going to complement those guys pretty well. She can take a bajillion hits and still survive.
Absolutely, a bajillion. And then, oh, here we go. I see Jaina. I see Uther. I see Tyrande. I see the makings of the strong melee comp with good engage and roam. It's happening, team. It's forming.
We saw this open from another team just recently, and it was denied. So now Dark Arts, I suppose, has the opportunity maybe to deny, but we aren't seeing all of that action yet because we have an Asmodan ban and then we have a Butcher ban.
Yeah, so the Butcher ban, the Zeratul ban, that's to probably take care of what Complexity is doing over here, but they still have some choices. Illidan and Kerrigan, probably the most prominent choices.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Illidan has been a little fallen from grace lately. He got a little bit of the nerf bat, and people aren't so hyped about him.
Taking away his invincibility frames really did a number on him.
Kerrigan, we have seen obviously showing her beautiful carapaced face.
Her wing parts, yeah, and a few.
Yes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her again necessarily, especially alongside Uther and Tyrande, because they can just stun for days. But Dark Arts is shaping up to be a really great bursty damage dealing composition. They've got Vala and Kael'thas already alongside that Sylvana, and they have one more pick. Who do you think we'll see?
Well, taking Vala is always a very safe choice as a damage. I mean, she's that damage that she's good. She has multiple builds depending on which way your team is going to go. She has good escape. She just fits everywhere. She's like this, like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. She's the pants that fit everyone. So now that they've picked Vala, I would think they need a support now so they can make their last pick more another universal pick. Okay, so they're going double tank. I didn't see that coming at all. Never mind. I take everything back.
Well, I guess they aren't concerned about who they're going to grab for support because Complexity already has Uther and Tyrande, so they know they kind of have that on lock. So they are going to grab a Nubarak, which is interesting because what it does is it gives them that double warrior composition, which can be fun, but it also denies a warrior from Complexity. So that could be a problem for them, but they still have someone like Muradin that they could fill that spot with. So I think it's less of a deny and more of a that Dark Arts really was planning this double warrior composition all along.
Yeah, because if they were going for a deny, they would have gone with Muradin. I feel like Muradin is the go-to tank when you're going with a strong engage comp, one of those compositions that plays to like Kerrigan with Tyrande and Jaina. If they don't pick Muradin, I'll be very surprised. Well, I mean, who else would they pick?
Yeah, I mean, adding Muradin and then a Kerrigan to this composition for Complexity makes them so freaking scary. It's like the perfect composition that they would have wanted from the start with that Jaina, Uther, Tyrande.
Right. I mean, the only thing that would really... All right, he's back. I told you guys, he's back. It's like fashion. It comes around, like what they say, every 20 years, a style comes back. Arthas is back, baby.
Like bell bottoms. Yeah. Arthas is back like bell bottoms. You can quote me on that.
Yes. We've seen him. We've seen him this week. We saw him last week. He dominated last week. Arthas was absolutely dominant last week. Do not count him out. The Lich King is in.
Yeah, I've seen Syndragosa especially be a huge game changer.
The
And
push, I've not seen a single one of those dominant Arthas take ghouls because they use the Cindergosa for the push. And then in the team fights, of course, they're leading the charge with his, I don't even remember the name of his abilities anymore. It's been so long since I've played him. His big icy circle bobber. Just engaging hard with that, doing damage, slowing everybody, using his roots, man. He's back, man.
It's interesting we're seeing them pause so long. I assumed that if we see Arthas, we're going to see Kerrigan. Do you think they're considering Illidan?
I can only assume they're considering Illidan because who else would fit the role that is just glaring here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even dare to venture a guess, but who is it?
It's Zagara. That one of these things is not like the others.
But why? Why CompLexity? Why would you do such a thing?
That doesn't go there. What is that?
Okay, so maybe we can look to Dark Arts composition for the answers, because maybe CompLexity didn't expect the dual warrior composition, and maybe that made them pause in terms of thinking about their melee assassin. Maybe there's a reason they want Zagara.
They didn't want to fling Kerrigan or Illidan or anyone for that matter in on two warriors. They're like, nah, that's not what we want to do. I can see that. Like, okay, Kerrigan, she does great damage. She's got her pull, all that good stuff.
I mean, Zagara,
they're going to use just for push, perhaps, but that makes their damage is kind of weak, in my opinion. Sure, Jaina does a lot of damage. Can I just join off of Caterpillar? Sorry, this is totally...
You can join on me.
All right.
Because I just got in.
I will join off of you. Thanks.
No prob.
All right.
Let's tell this lobby they can go whenever they're ready.
All right, and that is Dark Arts as Team 1, correct? I need that. Good, they are.
Yes.
Because if they mess up my UI, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to come over there.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. So this map, Garden of Terror, they're going to need to be collecting seeds from these small camps and large camps. So they need heroes that in some ways are good for merking, I guess. It's different than merking because, I mean, it's seeds. But maybe they're thinking about the utility of someone like Zagara to be out on her own. She can use creep tumors for vision. She can do laning and merking. Maybe they're considering that they need someone that can hang out by herself while Arthas, Tyrande, Uther, and Jaina go do things together. But I can't imagine that they wouldn't have wanted another... I mean, Zagara can do a lot of damage, but I just thought they'd want another, like, I will kill you if you come near me kind of hero.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought too, but again, maybe they want the hard CC as well. Those damages, of course, have no CC. Zagara having Maw, being able to try to pull one of those two big warriors out of the game completely for some of the team fight. If she can suck up a Nubarak and Rhaegar or Johanna, just pull some of that tankage away so that they can actually kill somebody. Maybe that is the hope they have.
That's a really good point. There's nobody on CompLexity that can't either stun or slow you or do something to keep you from going anywhere. And I guess Dark Arts doesn't really have the same amount of CC. So while they have a little bit more burst damage, they may be hard-pressed to get someone to stay in one place while they do it.
Right. They have a stun from Tyrande, a stun from Uther. Initially, that was it, unless they were planning on going Bring Out Frost with Jaina, which is possible, depending on who their last pick was, but it's not always the standard. Zagara might have been a CC pick. She can do damage. She can lane very well, which on this map can be very helpful, and they just really wanted to get the Maw in there, which can be a huge game-changing CC.
If you're using Zagara for CC, then everything comes down to Jaina to be able to take people down. So Jaina's going to have to be super protected, which she can be by Uther, of course. Uther can take a lot of hits. He can also use Divine Shield to really protect someone who has a good amount of healing. So he's certainly a great protector if you're having a protect the squishies kind of situation. And Tyrande, actually, to be fair, can do a good amount of damage herself as well. So I guess if you combine Zagara and Tyrande, the amount of damage that they're putting out is not lacking. It's just not as flashy.
Yeah, it's not as flashy. Toronto does decent damage. She does have a little bit of healing to help mitigate some of the damage that's going to be coming out of the dark arts. And she also provides more vision. CompLexity has a lot of vision. Creep tumors, owls. There's a ton of vision coming out of CompLexity. They're going to know.
Yeah, good point.
They're going to have a lot of map coverage where they know what's up.
Dark Arts has a lot of initiate. Both Johanna and Anub'arak known for being able to just really jump out there and start fights. And that's probably what they want to do with someone like Kael'thas and Vala, especially in the late game once those two get nice and beefy. And Rhaegar can help with the protect the squishy situation there too, because he can bring someone back from basically the dead.
Correct. Yeah, we have that again, the opposite. Rhaegar with the ancestral healing coming out of the fight to bring you back up. Uther with the divine shield, usually used on the engage. You're going in, he's going to divine shield you. In this case, I have a feeling it's going to be used on the coming out as well to save you from death, because there's no really hard engage on their team at all.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Sorry for the slight delay, guys. We have a disconnect in the lobby. Someone's computer is not working with them today, and technology does sometimes keep us from the things we love, but without it we could not play Heroes. So yes. I guess
it also brings us the things we love, so we have to we have to be ready. It's okay, they can look at our beautiful faces longer.
Yeah, symmetry, yin and yang, all that.
So
spirituality true. And deep thoughts. In the meantime, though, looking at these compositions, I miss Kerrigan because she's a favorite of mine, but I am really interested to see how they utilize creep on this map. You mentioned how important that's going to be for vision. And if Zagara manages to lay down a really good carpet of creep, it may be... How hard do you think it's going to be for Dark Arts to deny that creep?
Well, they don't have a Tassadar, who is usually the best at denying the creep. Kael'thas can, but using Kael'thas's flame strikes to destroy creep feels like such a painful waste. Besides those, Vala can as well. I take it back. I was going to say they don't really have anything else, but multi-shot can also be used to clear out creep, but multi-shot is a very expensive mana spell for Vala. If she's going with the Q build, where she can reduce the cost of her Hungering Arrow, dropping 60 mana multi-shots just to clear creep is hurtful to her soul. So, that being said, they don't have a lot of easy options for clearing creep. It's expensive and wasteful and just a pain for them to clear out that vision, but if you don't commit to clearing vision, you're giving so much away to Zagara. Besides just the vision itself, you're giving her movement speed. Depending on her spec, you might be giving her free regen. It's something that you have to commit to when there's a Zagara on the enemy team. They might have, if they have... Anub'arak, I believe, can spec into Burning Rage. They might have to do it just to clear creep, which, again, is...
Yeah, that's a really good point. So Zagara pick, knowing that it might be hard to deny her creep, could be a factor here for CompLexity. We will see how they will use her as we are getting into the Garden of Terror now. We do have, I believe, a sub situation. We had a disconnect.
Woo!
They grabbed a sub, I believe. I don't know. We're just the casters.
Yeah, that would be rough right as the game starts to have to sub somebody in. Definitely not the situation they want to be in.
But let's introduce these teams so you know who we're dealing with. The Dark Arts, it looks like, are going to be wearing blue. It's going to be Forest on Anub'arak, Shales on Kael'thas, Shadow on Rhaegar, Frede on Johanna, and Molsons on Vala.
Okay, we just saw them a minute ago. We have CompLexity. We have McIntyre on Tyrande, Caterpillar again on Arthas, Hans on Jaina. We have Blinks on Uther, and up in the top we have Trummel on Zagara.
We do indeed. We see that Dark Arts is not too eager to leave their base. We don't have that early aggression engagement like we saw last game. CompLexity is out in the lane. They're going to have to wait a while to see anyone they know.
Out shoots the owl looking for some vision. It doesn't find anybody because, like you said, Dark Arts, they weren't actually there.
It's interesting. I rarely see teams wait for this first minion wave, but they did. They're going to go ahead and wait for the little guys to come help.
Well, not so eager to meet CompLexity in the field of battle.
Frede knows that something might be at hand as Caterpillar and McIntyre are waiting for that gank, but Frede's not willing to quite engage yet.
I think he knows something is up.
Yeah. Hans, of course, just a squishy little Jaina trying to act as bait, but Frede is not going to take it.
The opposite happening in the top lane, trying to bait Trummel out. Shadu staying back as the Rehgar. Trummel having nothing to do with it, staying in that bush on top of his Hearthstone card.
Blink's doing the same, trying to hide out here in the bottom lane forest, turning little circles. Everyone's just kind of waiting for the game to start moving forward before they try to engage.
Well, somebody is going to have to make the first move. CompLexity getting a little bit of an experience lead out of somewhere.
We now have a lot of CompLexity teammates up here in the top. They really want that gank. Of course, taking down a hero can give you a little bit of an experience boost itself, and it looks like Molstones might be the one.
Yeah, Vala is down.
Frede might be the next as he has to walk through a blizzard, but of course Johanna can take plenty of hits. Even the Banelings aren't enough to take Frede down. We will see, though, that CompLexity is going to go over and take the seeds off the side of the map of Dark Art, so they're looking to collect more seeds than their opponents by taking some that are safe for them.
Yeah, Frede, though, definitely saved Kael'thas's life there. I thought he was going to die to those Banelings, but Frede with a very nice body block there. Well done.
Well done, indeed.
We are going to get using your body as a human shield.
Yes, thank you for taking those hits for me. Looks like Molstones is trying to get some seeds on the safe side of the map there, but actually is going to be chased off by Caterpillar and Hans, and that stun again. That CC coming into play already at this point in the game. Vala will be taken down again, and that means that lots and lots of seeds are going to go the way of CompLexity in this first phase.
Yeah, in a completely non-canon, non-RP way, Jaina and Arthas have quite a bit of synergy with their icy abilities and lane very well together, and I'm sure they're very upset about that.
We now have CompLexity going for this bottom Garden Shambler, and they're going to grab 60 seeds from him. That means it's enough that their Garden Terror is already growing. Trummel is trying to grab at least a few from this top Garden Shambler, but it looks like Dark Arts are going to be able to grab those. They're going to end up with 69 seeds, which is nowhere near enough for a Garden Terror. They're going to have to wait till the next phase.
Absolutely. But having a Garden Terror right off of the first one, it won't hit that hard, but any Garden Terror is better than none, and it's very impressive for CompLexity to push one out so quickly.
They were very aggressive in that first phase, and I think that's going to reward them as they are already level 6. Dark Art's not very far behind, but I mean, almost a level in experience at this point in the game can start to be something that's worrisome.
McIntyre, as Tyrande looks like taking over, piloting the Garden Terror. He's driving his vegetable up into the top lane to join Trummel as Zagara to make that push. Zagara, a good one to assist since she already has so much strong push. They're probably going to get through these towers fairly easily.
Indeed, they will. We see that McIntyre is laying down the flower pot of doom. It's going to wrap its vines around those structures and start to do lots and lots of damage. Structures, of course, yield lots of experience, and we're going to see that CompLexity will start to benefit from that in terms of talent tiers.
Absolutely, yeah. They push through level 7, almost level 8, a full level ahead for CompLexity. Now we are going on the fort here. It looks like Dark Arts are now catching up body-wise here to come and contest them to try to protect their fort. In the bottom lane, though, we have some mercenaries pushing with Uther Blinks, trying to get some more towers.
It's interesting. We saw the Garden Terror for CompLexity look like it might be rotating down to the mid lane to just try and make sure that the initial defenses are taken down. A lot of times we see that with the first of these big beasties. They want to just make sure that the towers and walls are taken down to expose the forts. But instead, it looks like McIntyre and Trummel and Hans are going to commit to taking down this fort.
Yeah, a fort does give more XP than towers. Usually a little more difficult to get, but with 3 people, one of them being Zagara, they take care of business, and now they are level 9.
Indeed they are, and Zagara's going to have no trouble getting away because, as you can see, she has redecorated her apartment quite nicely. There's creep all over this top lane. She can get to and fro very easily on that creep.
Yeah, like we were saying, if you can't commit a lot of resources to clearing creep, you are going to end up very zergy. There it is, Kael'thas having to use flame strikes to clear out creep. Now he has nothing to fight Jaina with, and Hans getting a lot of damage.
Yeah, even Jaina has a slow with her chill, so her team is just built up of being able to make sure you cannot get away. Not quite enough follow-up from her, though. Shales is going to be able to escape with his life.
And McIntyre showed up a little bit late to give up any follow-up during that fight. Had he been there earlier, maybe something awesome would have happened, but it didn't. So Dark Arts escapes with their lives.
Yeah, fire cancels ice in this situation. We have level 10. That means heroic abilities are grabbed for Complexity. It's going to be Divine Shield, Summon Water Elemental, Summon Syndragosa, Devouring Maw, and Starfall. Just about what we predicted, Kai.
Absolutely. All good abilities. They're going to work together here. That Syndragosa going to be turning off those towers and forts to aid in sieging. Also going to chill and eventually slow enemy heroes, so that will add more CC to the fights.
See an aggressive grab for those seeds from Dark Arts. They are going to take the ones on the side of the map of Complexity, so this time they don't want to lose out on all of those opportunities to grab a Garden Terror. Got 97 seeds. It won't be long before their Garden Terror is growing, but it looks like Complexity wants to come contest this top Shambler.
They did manage to get their 100. They're at 101 now. Popped out those last two before they had to escape from Complexity, who are now going to clean up and grab the rest here. They are still within, it looks like, bounds of grabbing their own Garden Terror again, since the bottom Shambler is still alive.
Yeah, they only need 4 more. There's actually 1 seed just hanging out on the battleground right now, so they are going to be able to bank another Garden Terror, and the one from Dark Arts is ready to go down the bottom lane, but it looks like Complexity wants none of it.
Yeah, nope, they're getting ready to get their own terror and perhaps fight terror for terror.
Yeah, it looks like they're not too concerned. Maybe waiting until... Ooh, Syndragosa goes down.
Rhaegar getting Syndragosa, getting owled, and then getting iced. He does escape, but what a bunch of stuns and slows dropped at once. Freda getting very low, and down he goes.
And what's happening now is that means the Dark Arts is having to use their terror to team fight, and that's not what they want to be using their terror for. They want that terror to be doing damage to structures like the one for Complexity did, and instead it looks like Forrest is going to have to jump out of that terror and try to escape. He's going to get rooted though, and Arthas is hot on his tail.
Yeah, absolutely. The Garden Terror, much like the Dragon Knight from Dragonshire, does increase damage to structures. It also has, like you said, that Flower Pot of Doom, which is going to turn off towers and forts, kill minions out instantly. You do not want to be using it for team fighting until the very late game when it hits for super hard.
And what this does is it gives Complexity the opportunity to waste the Dark Arts Garden Terror, then grab all the seeds they need for one of their own, and use that when they know that there won't be a Garden Terror to contest from Dark Arts, so they don't have that Garden Terror on terror action. Instead, they just have their own to push.
Yeah, very smart plays by Complexity. They're also scooping up some mercenaries here while they're at it, gonna have extra lane push.
Now, again... Dark Arts does have a composition that is going to scale up in the late game. So they aren't so far behind that they are, lost by any means. We have seen a lot of map control by Complexity so far, quite a few takedowns to the 0 of Dark Arts. But considering that there's 5 forts to 6 forts, they're not anywhere in danger of being completely out of this game yet.
Yeah, no, not at all. And their heroes, like you said, are going to get more powerful as time goes on. Kael'thas, a new Barak, especially with the build that he's going, is going to gain a lot of self-healing and damage. There's a web wrap dropped.
Yeah, Anubrak can take someone right out of the fight, but he, in fact, got taken out of the fight as well. He will go down. Johanna will follow closely after the Syndragosa goes down. It's going to take some damage on heroes, and it's also going to freeze these structures. They're not going to be able to help out Dark Arts in this fight, which they usually would. Fighting under your forts is a safe place to be, usually. Not so right now. That fort is going to go down.
This is a very strong push coming from Complexity. They're moving deep into Dark Arts territory, taking down the outer fort, and now they're pushing in for the inner keep. They've taken all the towers down. That Phoenix is doing its best to zone, and it doesn't really look like Complexity is very worried about it.
No, and McIntyre is now going to take that Garden Terror and rotate toward the bottom of the map. Looks like they're going to focus on taking out the defenses on this side as well. Even without the Garden Terror, as it pops, Complexity is still able to take a few pot shots, going to take that well out before they decide to retreat.
Definitely, they've taken a full 2-level lead.
Yeah, 14 to 12. That's a difference of a talent tier. 13 does get popped, so now Dark Arts doesn't have to be too concerned about engaging yet until we see Complexity get level 16. They're well on their way. And I wanted to point out, we mentioned that creep spread is going to be an issue. Look how much of the map is purple. It's just everywhere.
They cannot keep up with Zagara's creep, not at all.
And as you mentioned, they're not willing to devote the resources they would need in order to take that creep out. That's not a bad decision, but it does mean the advantage for Complexity in terms of vision and knowing where their opponents are. We're going to see them take advantage of that as they know that the siege camp might be available to them. They're looking for the opportunity to either engage or, oh, looks like they know they're there. Shales does throw out that flame strike.
Yep, they see you. They definitely, though, want to make this pick on Freda and then perhaps pick up this mercenary camp as well. They've already got one in the top lane. An additional one would just give them more push.
Yep, indeed. They are throwing out that owl again, trying to make sure that there's nobody going to flank them. Nobody indeed is there, so they are quite safe. They're still sniffing around, but not being willing to quite engage yet. Caterpillar is going to start wailing on that tower, trying to draw Freddy out, perhaps.
And like you said about Zagara being able to do her own thing, Trummel on the bottom there was solo defending, had to back, was pushed back by Vala's heroic ability, but still held that tower and fort before having to back. So definitely making the defensive line all on Trummel's own, while the rest of the team is able to collect mercenary camps and make pushes. So good use of Zagara's abilities there.
Both teams do have the ability to grab enough seeds to get a Garden Terror in this phase. Complexity is working on this top terror. The Dark Arts are working on the bottom. We will see the one for Complexity start growing, but they are not far behind the Dark Arts. They just have to get a few more, and doesn't look like there's anywhere else they can do it.
Nope, they did not make it short by 7 seeds. Bad feeling there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to answer by picking up as many mercenary camps as are left on the board, it looks like. Try to get some push going while the Complexity is growing their terror and having somebody go pick it. Looks like it's going to be McIntyre on Tyrande again. Another thing I didn't think about earlier in the draft, on this map specifically, you have to plan who is going to be piloting your Garden Terror. That's somebody who's going to spend a significant amount of the time not piloting their hero, but instead being a plant. So letting that be Tyrande, that's someone who, while good in the team fight, is not pivotal to lose in the team fight.
Yeah, that's true. She is a support and she has a lot of helping abilities, but by herself isn't going to be the deal breaker. The Phoenix does zone McIntyre out. He decides it's not worth it, but the pressure will not let up that soon from Complexity. They're still going to come in. There's some ice going down from Arthas. Does stun Forrest. He knows that that could be trouble for him, so he's not going to commit too hard.
No, I'm not going to commit too hard, but this fort, this inner fort, keep is very low, and down it goes. More XP just going the way of Complexity, and now it looks like they're moving up into the top lane to get another inner keep. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, and if they do manage to grab that keep, there's going to be catapults pushing not only in the mid lane now, but also in the top lane. And what that means is that Dark Arts has to constantly be backing to defend their fort. Otherwise, the Winions will take it out.
Yeah, there's no way non-catapults versus catapults can be stopped. The catapults will always win every time. Going to put Dark Arts in a very bad situation. Now the middle lane, like you said, is exposed to the core.
Yeah, McIntyre, not too much health left with that Garden Terror, but that Flower Pot does so much damage. He's just going to throw as many of those in as he can until he does have to shed the plant suit. We have all the members of Complexity here ready to take on the Dark Arts if they come out, but they are even in talent tier, so Forrest knows that this is the time to engage if there is one.
16 to 18, because it's about to get a lot worse once we get closer to 20. Web Wrap goes down, Syndragosa goes down, Ancestral Heal on Forest saves the day. Unstoppable dropped on Johanna, but they are making the back. Dark Arts is out of there. They want no more part of this fight. Complexity, though, is chasing for a spell.
It's interesting that we saw them turn so quickly because Dark Arts did want that engagement, but they gave up on it pretty quickly. Forest is pretty close to out of mana, and it looks like they didn't feel like they had enough left to do the damage they would need to win that engagement.
Right. They dropped the web wrap, and I think they were looking for a pick right off of it, and when they didn't actually kill anyone, the web wrap came up, and they knew it was time to get out of there before they actually lost anyone.
Yeah, now Complexity has free reign to go ahead and fall back, grab their bruisers. There's no threat to that. And if we look at structures, the top wall and turrets and the bottom wall and turrets are the only things that have been lost for Complexity. They have so much between Dark Arts and their core. In the meantime, though, the core of Dark Arts is exposed completely in the middle, and the keeps are ready to be taken. There's no forts left for them.
Definitely.
The seeds are going to spawn. We see Dark Arts going right ahead to grab their safe side. They only need one more seed now to get their Garden Terror, and that is going to start spawning. But Complexity doesn't need many either, and they've got their sights set on this bottom Shambler. We'll see if they'll go ahead and grab it right away, or if they'll go for kind of the waiting strategy that they had before, where they wait to take out their opponents before they grab theirs.
Arthas is in a bad place. He's in this web wrap surrounded. Oh, sorry, not Arthas. That's going to be Blinks. But Arthas came to his defense, dropped the Syndragosa, and he is going in to fight. Blinks has no fear here along with the rest of his team. I really thought he was going to get picked off there, but his friends came to his defense.
Looks like they are going to go ahead and grab those seeds from the bottom Shambler. They're still going to have some time before they pick up their Terror. In the meantime, the Terror of Dark Arts has been relegated to defending the base. There's so many Bruisers and Siege Giants here. They really need someone to take care of that, and that's going to be Forest for now.
Unfortunately, yeah, they're going to use up a lot of the time on their Terror just cleaning out their lanes. Those pots do a lot of damage to minions, as you can see, so it's going to definitely help do that. But that is time that their plant is spending not pushing, not doing any actual damage to the enemy team. It's just doing maintenance.
The Garden Terror has been picked up from Complexity. It's going to have 1 minute 46 seconds of life left. That's about 30 more seconds than the Terror on behalf of Dark Arts, so they're probably going to try to keep that alive long enough to do some damage to structures with it. In the meantime, we now do see the Terror on Terror action in the team fight that we talked about earlier.
And unfortunately, Forest Terror is below half health, so he needs to boogie on out of there, or he risks being picked off by Complexity and their full health Terror and full health team as well.
They're going to try to get under their structures for protection, but that means they're going to allow Complexity closer and closer to their structures, which are suffering. Looks like they're going to pick on that top lane. They want more catapults going into the base. The flower pot does go down again toward that top keep.
A Phoenix goes to attempt to kill the flower pot in zone. Although Syndragosa comes as well, they don't need no flower pots to turn off towers and forts. They can do it themselves with the mighty dragon.
Yeah, look how far forward Trummel is, just wreaking havoc and trying to distract away from the rest of the team as they do damage on the structure. You're right that the Garden Terror isn't the only way to take down a keep.
Right, there's definitely more than one, and they've got that keep, so now we're going to see additional catapults coming from Complexity. There's only one keep left for Dark Arts, and that is in the bottom lane. Big minion wave of archers pushing in. They're probably not going to make it there, but just to be noted that Complexity does not have far to go before they have completely exposed the core of Dark Arts.
Trummel's trying to zone Dark Arts out while Complexity is going to grab more seeds. What they're going to get here is 60 more seeds, which means that they have more than 100 seeds in the bank. That ensures them yet another Garden Terror if they so choose.
Brutal back-to-back terrors. It's going to be very hard for Dark Arts to answer to.
Yeah, and Dark Arts only has 8 seeds, so it would be a huge struggle for them to get another one, even if they were able to have their free reign of the map next time.
Yeah, that's a lot of seeds. There's only 100 on the board, I believe, so...
Web Wrap went down on Kael'thas, and they were able to surround and burn him down. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep, got caught out for sure. So now there are only 3 surviving members of Dark Arts actually standing with an exposed core. This could be very bad for them, but it looks like Complexity wants to play it safe. They're not diving in. They're picking up some more minions, just increasing their push and increasing their presence rather than making a risky dive.
That's a good plan. I mean, they do have that Garden Terror in their pocket. I'm sitting here like, come on, push for core. But you don't want to waste your opportunity at a win here, and that's not what they're going to do. They're going to look to catch these guys out. Rhaegar has to use the Ancestral Heal on himself as he runs. Johanna can take a lot of hits, but not this many as the entire team focuses her down. She's down. That means only 2 members of Dark Arts are alive, and that's the opening that Complexity is looking for.
Yeah, only 2 members alive, and they have a Garden Terror marching down the center lane to join them. Their team is very strong. There's not a lot that can stop them, even with the respawns coming from Kale and a new Barak. McIntyre is here with the Garden Terror. I think they got this one in the bag. The core is down. That is it.
That is it, indeed. Complexity takes this game just like they took the last one, and that means they will be advancing into the semifinals.
And well done by Complexity. They're definitely showing strong tonight.
Indeed. You know, this was a similar situation to what we saw last game, where there was a composition that we could look at and say, okay, later in the game, that's going to be really, really tough to deal with. So we can let them be a little bit on the back foot for the early game, but can't let them be that far on the back foot because, again, they lost too much. They would have had to go through too many structures in order to get at complexity. And they had so many openings through which they could be attacked and so many different prongs of that attack to deal with, especially the catapults pushing in the mid. That was what really started their decline.
Absolutely, yeah. You can only say, we got the late game for so long until the late game is over, and then it's the end game.
Yeah, you have to get into that late game with enough left. And unfortunately, Dark Arts didn't this time, but well played. A great game for us to cast. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. All right, do we have another game, or is that what we got going on?
Well, I know that's where we